All right, folks. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. I wanted to share with you today my experience that I had yesterday. Every day is a learning experience when it comes to reptiles, and good and bad. We learn from both good and bad. But I had Mac out here yesterday, and I've had him out here plenty of times, and I understand. I'm into 2 years in this with these tegus that the philosophy of, they see you differently outdoors and UVB light, and it scares them, but we're well past that now. So that's not necessarily the issue here. But so I walk around with Mac on my shoulder out here outside for 2 years, and he sees me clearly. I hold him out in front of me. He sits, he moves around to different shoulders. I hold him in both my hands. He sees dogs barking, my dog barking, the lawnmower, this very busy road on the other side of the camera, planes flying over, my lawn equipment, everything, sirens, loud sirens, because it's right over the camera when a fire truck or a fire ambulance or a police car goes by, and it's often. And so that's not the issue. And I've kind of learned, and I just wanted to share that, right now, because I did a video on a UVB meter, and that right now, just standing out here when it's sunny, not extreme sunny in the middle of the summer when it's really hot, that it was like 4.5, 5.5 on the UVB scale, or 6.5 UVB meter, so the latest and greatest UVB trusted meter from the reputable brand. And it's probably a little bit more sunny today than it was. So 5 to 6 UVB rating here in Texas, North Texas, right where we are. And so I think that that's too much UVB for tegus, or for my tegus, my Argentine tegus, that maybe, I've heard people saying, the early afternoon sunlight is when the lizards and snakes mostly come out and want to get that extra warming up sun from waking up. And that's probably a lower UVB time than 3 and 4 p.m. But I had Mac out yesterday, and I made him get up, and I put him in the sun, and for about 30 minutes they're done. Sassy and Mac's getting a little rambunctious here now, so let's put him down on here and see if I can contain him. So they after 20-30 minutes they start getting real uneasy in this cage that I have, and they start walking around in circles, and they start getting really antsy. You can just see it in 30 minutes. 40 minutes top, they are done. They want out, and Mac will start to put his nose into the in between this and potentially damage his nose. And then if it goes much longer than that, he gets really upset. So I experienced this yesterday, unfortunately. I brought him in after about 20 minutes of being in here, because I guess the UVB was a little bit more intense yesterday, and they wanted out pretty bad. They were expressing they wanted out. So I took them both inside. Well, a few hours passed, and it's maybe 4-ish p.m., and I brought him back out here because I just know that they need to have a certain amount of UVB, and he's been eating, and it's been he hasn't been in the sun for a week maybe, because of the rain that we had and the overcast, crummy weather. So I wanted to put him out here again for more UVB. And I started messing around with my dog, and he got into a panic zone, and I came out and I looked at him, and he was running circles and then bouncing up against the metal, and I was like, oh crap, I got to get him out. And so I reached in there, opened the door opens up, and he turned around and opened his mouth at me, and then started ramming himself back and forth, panicking, into the metal cage, and potentially damaging up the front of his mouth and his nose. And so I was like, Brian, you got to act really, really quick. And so you know, I took the opportunity and grabbed him, and then he opened his mouth and made a giant bite at my hand. And I was like, okay, so we're going. This is how it's going to be. And so I grabbed him again, and he turned around on himself and almost got my hand. And I was like, okay. I was like, take calm, collect, get a cool head. And I remembered that I had to, instead of grabbing him, you know, in this area, always grab him by the meat of his tail, but I went in for the pin maneuver right behind the head, where I grabbed him really firmly, and he fought me a couple of times and got loose out of that. I mean, had a death grip on him, and he flipped and rolled, and I, you know, didn't want to strangle him or break his bones. And so, you know, to that extent, I couldn't grab him that hard, but I had him really, really tight. And he got out of it a couple of times and then turned around and bit really close to my hand and bit his own tail. And, you know, I don't know if he realized that that wasn't my hand and he let go. But he did that like 3 times, turned around and bit his leg, because my hand was back here and I had him pinned right here behind the head, and was really fighting him. And I mean, he was trying to injure me. This sweet Tegu turned into Mr. Jekyll because for whatever reason he felt endangered, possibly by the excessive UVB light that was really making him unhappy. And then he saw me, and that shuts her up. But I also had a hat on, so when I have hats on, ball cap, Sassy, and Mac, hey, I want you to stop. We're on camera. Stop. And you can see Marshall comes up and doesn't really bother him, but I just got my hand on his tail because we're outside of the cage, and if he took off, I would be very, very upset. But ball caps on, they see me, and their eyes get extra wide, and they see me come up and I have the ball cap on, and they stand up, puff up, and hiss, and I take my ball cap off, and they're fine. It's just my ball cap. And yesterday I had my blue ball cap on, and I just didn't have time to take it off and think about the ball cap. But that could have been contributing too. But man, it was close calls. I mean, I had him here, probably at this part of his tail, and he was biting right here. He was reaching around and biting at this part of his tail, so getting really close to my hand. I would have been more in a panic zone, but this was all while this was in the cage with this big door open. So he could have gotten out past me, but I had, you know, about 300 degrees worth of where he couldn't get out. But he was really bashing his head, panicking. I mean, really, really panicking, and bouncing into the wire and just running full force. And so I was really concerned about him damaging his nose. But I was lucky yesterday. I didn't get scratched too bad, but I did get scratched, and it's a little painful, you know, dealing with scratches. But I've had much worse, but he did get me. But it's been a long time since he's really kind of scratched up my arms. I wanted to share this experience with you. I mean, he's fine today because we've only been out here now probably 10 minutes. But, you know, it was shown to me, and I've learned and I've seen that 4, 5, and 6, you know, on a UVB scale, you know, with that little 6.5 meter is really too much UVB for even a Tegu, you know, a Tegu to withstand. And so, you know, he's gonna either be out here very limited times where, you know, 20 minutes max, and just have to be really, really careful, because I don't want to experience that again, and damage his nose. He kind of, you know, he's not as shiny now on the black part of his nose, and he did have a little spot between his scales where there's a little drop of blood, and they can damage their mouth, you know, where their mouth comes together right there really easy, and they can really booger that up and make that bad, and that can lead to mouth rot. So you got to be really, really careful with your Tegu. and how your Tegu can push things, want to get out of its cage and push on the top and push on the glass and really damage its nose. So I'm really paying attention to keep Mac's scales on his front of his head really clean, and it does repair itself as they shed, but past a point it can get to be a dangerous situation. But as you can see, Mac is cool right now out here, and he sees all these cars and noises and the dog barking. Again, I just wanted to make this video maybe helpful for someone, and tune into more videos. I like making videos on my Tegus and my boas, and just sharing stuff with everybody. So if you found this helpful, hopefully it was somewhat entertaining and helpful, beneficial, and catch me on future videos, okay? Have a great day, and I'll see you on another video. Bye-bye. I just want to apologize real quick. The video did not have my head in it, but that's okay. That's not the important part of the video. It's very hard. I don't dislike my DJI camera that I have, my pocket tube, but I bought it. It's $450, and just not in the position to go buy a bunch of cameras. But the mic works pretty well when I have the alternate mic on my shirt. But I just wanted to tell you just a tad bit more to clarify. Once I calmed Mac down and took him inside, and I took him into his room and I put him down, and I kind of wanted to just put some distance between us. He was much better, but he immediately went into the dark closet, and I have some bricks in there. Such loud vehicles. Some colder, bricks in there, stone masonry bricks, and he went in and climbed on those. They were cooler, and clearly you could see that he wanted to chill out and cool down, and he was kind of still huffing and puffing. I don't know if he was kind of got out of breath from me, wrangling him. That probably had some to do with it, but he was really, I think, overheated. Not just in the sense that it was a 100-degree day, because it wasn't. It was 80 degrees, but with a decent cool breeze. But I think the UVB overheated him, and he just got really upset. So he went in there and really chilled out, and I kind of watched him for a little bit, and I've seen that he was just emotionally kind of worn out, and so I left him for a couple hours, and then went back and picked him up, and everything was good. But I think it was just a stressful event on him yesterday. But just to clarify, what happened aftermath. But now we're good today.